Hello everyone and welcome to a Music Theory Minute. I'm Floyd Richmond and today we're going to look at predominant chords, especially the Neapolitan sixth and the German, French, and Italian augmented sixth chords. A number of chords precede the dominant in common chord progressions, but most often in major keys the minor 2 and major 4, and in minor keys the diminished 2 or minor 4. This section will examine additional predominant chords, again to broaden the harmonic palette. The chords listed here will resolve to the 5 chord most commonly, but any one of them may resolve to any chord which substitutes for the 5 chord, usually the 7 diminished or the 1-6-4 chords. The Neapolitan 6 chord, abbreviated N6, is a flat 2 chord in first inversion with the third doubled. Its abbreviation, the N6, is used for any analysis of this chord. The Neapolitan 6 resolves as follows to avoid voice leading issues. The most important note of resolution is that of the root, which goes down usually a diminished third to the leading tone of the key, the third of the 5 chord. After that, the rest is common sense. The fifth of the Neapolitan 6 usually resolves a half step down to the dominant note, the root of the 5 chord. The 2/3 of the Neapolitan 6 do not resolve to the same note in order to avoid parallel octaves. Let's look at the augmented sixth chords. The first is the German augmented sixth chord. The German is the most common of the augmented sixth chords. It's abbreviated G plus 6. It is most often built on a note a minor second above the root of the 5 chord. This note is the sounding root of the chord. Theoretically, it will not look like a root. It cannot be placed on all lines or all spaces, but when played, it will sound like the root. The chord consists of a major third, perfect fifth, and augmented sixth above the sounding root. It is inharmonically equivalent to a major minor 7 chord. The German augmented sixth chord resolves as follows. The interval of the augmented sixth resolves out to an octave. When resolving to a 5 chord, the rest of the notes are just a half step away from a chord tone. Resolve them by half steps. This will create parallel fifths, but this is one of the few times this will be okay. Some people are able to successfully avoid writing parallel fifths by inserting the 1-6-4 chord between the German augmented sixth chord and the 5. Another way of avoiding the parallel fifths is to respell the German augmented sixth, most commonly as the Italian or French augmented sixth chords. The Italian augmented sixth chord is exactly like the German, but it omits the fifth above the sounding root and doubles the third above the sounding root instead. This eliminates the possibility of parallel fifths because there are no fifths in the chord. The 2/3 do not resolve to the same note, again to avoid parallel octaves. The French augmented sixth chord, abbreviated F plus 6, is exactly like the German, but it substitutes an augmented fourth above the sounding root for the fifth, eliminating the possibility of parallel fifths and anticipating the resolution to the 5 chord. Other augmented sixth chords are possible using only the interval of the augmented sixth and any other notes desired. Augmented sixth chords are occasionally spelled inharmonically. Like secondary dominants, augmented sixth chords may resolve to other major or minor chords. To do so, the chord is built on the sounding root a minor second above the major or minor destination chord. Thank you for joining us today for a Music Theory Minute. Be sure to like and subscribe.